now it's time for Ag on 8, where we share ag news impacting you. Well, storm damage is at the top of people's mind, and this area near Camper World is recovering. A tornado touching down in southwest Davenport during Friday's severe storms. Well, you can see right here, there's some flattened down corn in this video that was taken by News 8's meteorologist, Andrew Stutzky. Well, the Trump administration is taking steps to ensure America's farmland stays in American hands. The U.S. will move to ban sales of farmland to buyers tied to China and other foreign adversaries. The government's now looking at options to take back existing land owned by Chinese investors. Well, from 2014 to 2023, 315 people fell into grain bins and couldn't get out. Iowa saw the most at 55 and Illinois coming in third at 32. The grain bin rescue crew out of Bishop Hill says their goal is to teach people how to be safe rather than having to pull them out later. Well, News 8's Maddie Franz shares some tips from their training.
So once this guy is up to his knees, like I said, he can't get out.
It can take just seconds to get trapped in a grain bin.
But just a little bit longer, and he's almost completely submerged.
That's where Fire Chief Greg Peck and the Bishop Hill Grain Bin Rescue Team jump into action. They rig up a metal rescue tube like this one.
We will encompass the person that is trapped. Then we will start removing the grain and get a safety harness on him as soon as possible.
But it's far from a quick operation. It takes at least an hour for Peck's team to deploy and even longer to set up.
But these are all telescoping.
That's why they come to events like the Henry County Farm Bureau's safety event.
I and the rest of the team would rather spend the time here telling you how not to get trapped in grain versus going to have to remove you.
His biggest tips, staying out of grain bins altogether, wearing a harness if you have to get in, and telling a friend or neighbor what you're doing.
That will keep you from going under the grain. There's nothing in there that is worth you losing your life for.
For other kinds of farm accidents, like equipment injuries or cardiac events, giving first aid can help someone hang on until first responders arrive.
Having training for CPR and being able to do something rather than nothing in that situation can really help hopefully give that person the best chance of survival.
Robert Strickland offers trainings with Cintas First Aid and Safety. He says the right knowledge and tools are especially important on farms, where it can take EMS longer to show up.
So it's 1, 2, 3.
Peck says any farmer is at risk for injury or death on the job, no matter how experienced.
The old mentality is, I've done this 1,000 times, I can do it again. One of these times you're going to get caught.
Well, the Iowa Farm Bureau president is back in the state after over 100 members from the American Farm Bureau met with Trump administration officials, including cabinet members this week. Now it's why Brent Johnson joins us now, sharing why this group was in our nation's capital. How are you today, Brent? You've got beautiful fields behind you there.
Very good. Thanks, Haley. It's good to be with you this morning.
Yes, well, like we said, you're back home, back in Iowa. Tell us what this trip was all about.
Yeah, well, serving as the Iowa Farm Bureau president, that one of those responsibilities is I serve as a director for the American Farm Bureau Board of Directors. And so this meeting was one of our quarterly meetings out there, and it did have a unique spin this time where all of us had the opportunity to, as you've already said, to meet with a few of the cabinet members, and in a unique meeting inside the White House complex. It was really a pretty special event.
Yes, well, you said some cabinet members. I mean, can you be more specific? Who were some of the people that you got the chance to talk with in these high positions?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did meet with a couple of people from the USTR, U.S. Trade Representative's office, a couple folks from the MAHA movement in the Health and Human Services Department. But as far as the actual secretaries, we did meet with Lee Zeldin. He's the cabinet member that leads the EPA. And then we also met with Secretary Brooke Rollins, who is, of course, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture.
Wow, what an impressive lineup of, people in some of those positions that you spoke with. I want to break down a couple of those things. So you said MAHA, that's the Make America Healthy Again movement. And I read somewhere that you had met with a senior advisor in that. I mean, why was that an important conversation for you as a member and a president of the Iowa Farm Bureau?
Yeah, the MAHA movement's a really strong movement right now, and to meet with their top advisors, I mean, these are the people who are having daily conversations with RFK and some of those responsibilities. But to make America healthy again, farmers across this country, that's what we strive for, is to raise safe and healthy food. And our conversations with those advisors were really to continue our education process into that department so that they fully understand the practices that are implemented by farmers across Iowa, across the Midwest, and the entire country, and help make sure that they understand that farmers are producing safe and healthy food. And then also from our aspect to find those exploratory opportunities where we can get involved and make sure that those efforts are met in a successful and frankly a sustainable way into the future for not only for consumers but also for producers as well.
And I know that their report came out not too long ago, and a lot of farm groups, including the Farm Bureau, felt maybe a little bit left out of those conversations. I mean, now you're there talking with their senior officials. Did you feel like your voices were more heard this time than potentially in the past?
Yeah, that's you're accurate. That when that report came out, it was disappointing not to be at the table, and that was a strong part of our message was please include us in these conversations. You want a healthy America, and your food is the objective. There's no better person to be there than the American farmer who's actually growing and producing those food sources. So I think we've got those messages accomplished, and some of our concerns were heard, and then some of their objectives, we're learning through there as well. So it was actually a very good, productive meeting. Looking forward to more of those in the future.
And another thing you mentioned was talking with the USTR about trade. Obviously, trade's been a huge conversation during last year's election and now into lots of discussions about tariffs. I mean, what was discussed there? Is
Yeah.
there any relief, any thoughts going forward on what people can expect, especially the farmers in our area?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's a really complicated issue. It's become complicated over the last several months, obviously, with all of the tariff negotiations and country by country, all of the trade uh, talks. So there are a lot of opportunities. It's impossible to highlight all of them because they change literally on a daily basis, but ultimately, the opportunity to make sure that we can increase demand for the products that we all are literally world class and growing, safe, productive, abundant food, and to have that opportunity for those products to be sold not only domestically but internationally as well is it's extremely important, not only in the aspects of supply and demand, but honestly how that trickles down into profitability on the farm. Profitability has been tough the last couple of years for Iowa's farmers, and so we really need to resolve some of these trade issues, get some ratchet wins along the way so that we can deliver our products to those folks who need high quality, consistent protein sources.
And another topic that's been really a hot topic, important topic in agriculture recently has been different decisions with labor and immigration reform. And that might not be quite as much of a topic right here in Iowa and Illinois where we're at, but we were just in Des Moines not too long ago and Trump talked about maybe making some changes in this regard. I was just curious if you heard anything about this topic going forward.
Yeah, across the country, labor on farms is an extremely huge topic. Here in the Midwest, we have a lot of mechanization, a lot of large equipment, and growing commodities. So those labor issues are prevalent here, but primarily they're prevalent on the processing side. So, packing plants and some of those kinds of places, probably in the dairy sector, some of the hog markets. But when you talk about vegetable growers, fruit growers, some of those high value crops that actually make it directly to consumers' tables, those workers are vitally important in taking care of livestock across the country. And so to address illegal immigration, coupled up with the topic of labor on the farm, it becomes very complicated very quickly. But when the president was here last week, he said he was going to put farmers in charge. We're trying to figure out what that means. We've got some ideas of what it could mean, but we're in that development process currently. We'll see how these these rules come out, and hopefully it's a working situation so that we can continue to provide those food sources um, without disruptions in the systems, either from the growing side, the processing side, the delivery side.
Well, Brent, thanks for your thoughts there, and keep us updated, as you learn more on that
Yep.
important issue. Was there anything else
Yeah.
that was a really important piece of your conversations in DC this last week?
Yeah, there was, of course, we had conversations with Secretary Zeldin dealing with biofuels, and we talked a little bit about waters of the United States again. But really, one of the highlights of the trip, being that this was an ag-focused trip, was meeting with Secretary Rowlands. She's an impressive leader. I've really been pleased with what I've seen, heard, and out of her leadership in that path. And just last week, the legislature passed the big beautiful bill. Parts of that bill had to do with the financial risk management tools that farmers use as parts of the old farm bill and the modernization of those. So as I talked about profitability before, getting those tools implemented so that we can secure farmers' profitability and try to find some black margins on the balance sheets instead of red ones. Those conversations with Secretary Rowlands were very productive.
Well, thanks for taking some time to talk. Those beautiful fields you have behind you, and we hope it's a good year. We hope it's a profitable year, and hope you keep us updated as more conversations ensure, throughout the rest of the year. So thanks, Brent.
All right, very good. Thanks, Haley.
Well, farmers suffering from natural disasters in recent years could see a boost from the government. The USDA unveiling more information about the new Supplemental Disaster Relief Program. That's for crop losses due to tornadoes, derechos, heat, drought, and other conditions. The $16 billion is part of the money in the American Relief Act that was passed by Congress at the end of last year. And it's why Doug Yoder, the crop agency manager at Country Financial, joins us. He shares how farmers can apply and more details on both Phase 1 and Phase 2 of this program. Well, hey there, Doug. How are you today?
Good morning, Haley. I'm just fine, thank you, and appreciate you having me on this morning.
Yes, well, just this past week, Phase 1 was announced and farmers could kind of start applying for it. So tell me, what is Phase 1 all about? Does it for all natural disasters? How does this work?
So this is part of the American Relief Act passed back in November, and the first portion of that was Emergency Commodity Assistance Payment. About $10 billion was paid to farmers earlier this year. So this is the first of two disaster-related payments coming, Supplemental Disaster Relief Program payments. USDA announced it Wednesday. They began sign up, I believe, Thursday. They also sent out pre-filled applications to farmers or landowners. And Phase 1 is designed to supplement any crop insurance or NAP claims that were incurred for crop years 2023 or 2024. So if you had a qualifying claim in one of those 2 years, you should be getting this pre-filled application, and it just, like I mentioned, it supplements those payments. So that's Phase 1, and they're estimating it'll be about $16 billion total. Now, Phase 2, which will come sometime this fall, is designed to cover any losses that weren't captured by a crop insurance or NAP claims. In other words, maybe you had a loss but not big enough to qualify for a claim. Or if you don't have crop insurance on a particular crop or commodity, that's what Phase 2 will be designed to partially cover. And again, all they've told us on Phase 2 so far is that those details will be forthcoming this fall sometime, early fall.
Is this for any natural disaster, or who gets, or why do you get these payments?
So I would say any natural disaster is covered. The one issue that crop insurance users probably need to be aware of, though. So let's say they had a claim in one of those two crop years, 23 or 24. If the claim was due to the market decline, most Illinois farmers buy revenue protection in their crop insurance policies, which cover a production loss or a revenue loss due to the market dropping. So if your claim was due to the market declining, that doesn't qualify. This is a weather related, like you're calling a disaster related. So you can talk about wind, storms, drought, hail, anything weather related. For the most part, I think it's fair to say would qualify for that, for this first stage.
And you said that drought has a few stipulations. Is that correct? There's a certain map maybe that they
Correct.
should look at?
Yes, if your loss was due to a drought, then your county would need to be designated a drought county in one of those two. And there are lists available to tell you which counties were qualified as drought counties in each of those crop years.
I see, I see. So yeah, definitely something that our farmers should look on at that map to see if they're
Absolutely.
in those counties. And you mentioned phase two, and you said more this fall. Any other things that people can be looking forward to about that, or anything they should be in tune to?
So I'd say right now the biggest thing to share with your listeners is we provided a high level overview today, and I'm sure most of them may have already heard about this program. Training is really going to be presented to the industry this coming week. So the industry, FSA staff, I believe training will occur this coming week. So more information about phase one will be available sometime this coming week. For example, I'm sitting in on webinars Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we'll know a lot more information here by midweek. I'm hoping full details, including how the calculations will be made, how to calculate your potential loss, and everything a farmer needs to do. And there is by the way, there is a form I know, Haley, that farmers need to fill out. It's called FSA Form 526. So they'll need to fill that out if they haven't done so already, or if they don't receive that pre-filled application in the mail.
And if they haven't received that pre-filled application, I mean, they should go to their FSA office. Is that the best way to go about that?
Absolutely. Yes, they can go to their FSA office. I know a lot of farmers nowadays just go online and access forms that way too. But
Well, Doug, it sounds like you have a really busy week ahead, so we don't want to take too much more time, but we appreciate you tuning in today and sharing some of your thoughts, and hopefully in the future, maybe you can catch up on a little bit on how those calculations are better figured and how our farmers can, get in on that system too. So thank you.
I'd be more than glad to, and I greatly appreciate you helping spread the word on this important program, Haley.